Hi, I'm Yingyee, and you're listening to The Asian CEO, which ignites and encourages Asian women in the entrepreneurial space to be proud of who they are and show up as the best version of themselves. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 2. Today we have a guest for the Asian CEO, and I am so excited to introduce Pana Thao. And Pana has created multiple businesses out of passion, and she's the co-owner of LUV LLC, which is a husband and wife team that specializes in photography and event decorating based in Wausau, Wisconsin. And during the pandemic, they saw an opportunity to open up an online boutique as the mall in Wausau shut down, and they saw that online shopping sales were increasing. Since then, they have now opened their own storefront and have worked with numerous music artists for their music videos. So tune in to hear her story and how you can turn your passion into a business. So again, Pana, thank you for being here. And
Thank you for having me.
of course. So, give the listeners like a, bird's eye view, 30 seconds of what you do.
The owner of Love LLC, of course, and we specialize in a few stuff. So we do photography to event decorations, and then, like you said, an online boutique to an in-person boutique, along with a selfie studios and along with a boutique.
Okay, awesome. So, obviously I've been following you since I was in high school. Like a lot of my high school friends, modeled for you and everything. And then during COVID, I did see that you opened up that boutique, like we said, too. So I was like, oh my God, I have to get you on the show. And you are the first guest. So that makes me so happy. We're starting it off
Thank you.
strong. Obviously, you have a entrepreneurial passion because seeing you aren't afraid of risk at all. How were you like as a child before starting your business?
I grew up with a very big family, so I have 8 brothers and 2 sisters. So I have always been the quiet, shy person. I didn't really like interacting people, but as I grew older and got out of high school, I kind of outgrew that and became more of an outspoken person and wanted to be more outgoing and learning new stuff. So there was a big difference as childhood to now.
Would you consider yourself an extrovert?
Yes.
Came out of your shell. Did you go to college?
Yep. I went to college first, and then I did a lot of more into the art field industry, learning Photoshop and building stuff from 2D to 3Ds. So that's how I got started for photography and this learning, slowly learning my passion to event decoration, building stuff from scratch.
Did you take on any jobs after you graduated before Love LLC?
Yep. So I worked in a lot of retail industry, to clothing, to painting canvases, to making potteries. So and then also from there on, I took as a photography job. And in high school, elementary, you see those photographers coming in to take your headshots. I was one of those, taking on those jobs and learning how I could be better myself in the photography world. So taking on tasks, and as I take as a photographer for school industry, the school industry, I learned a lot of tricks that I could learn and take out of it and learn and create a contact that best suit me.
So, because photography was your first business, right? What drew you into the art of photography?
I think because in town here in Wausau, there's not a lot of artists when I grew up. And one of the very first one that I ended up working in front of the camera was with Mavu. So from there on, I was like, oh, like I really love her contact. I want to be like her, and I want to create just something fun too as well. So that's where the inspiration started. And that's where I got my first camera and started to learn everything from scratch.
Yeah. And so you said you took a little bit of classes for photography, right? But
That's
it wasn't like once you're in the field, it's completely different, isn't it?
Yes, correct. So everything you learn is a lot different from once you get your hands on. So I feel like you need to just kind of take the risk and like learn what best suits you, because what they teach you may not be something that you like to as well. And just go outside of your comfort zone and learning what best suit you.
Exactly. So when you were starting that photography business, was it just like a side hustle right there and then, or on the side?
Yeah, so I started as a hustle job. I had my first kid in 2014. So being a first time mom and a stay home mom, I pretty much used my daughter as my little minion, learning as I grow. And I didn't want to dive right into full time with that, just because I wanted to give my attention to her as well and grow my family. So it wasn't something that was on the top of my mind where it was my priority. I just wanted to learn how to be better before I dive right into full time.
Right. So then when did you decide it was time to transition to full time as a photographer?
Honestly, I really wanted to do it right before pandemic hit, right when I felt like it was the right timing, just because we didn't want to have any more kids. Pandemic hit, and it completely went down there. I was like, should I even go full time at this point? Just because, we couldn't travel and people weren't requesting for it as much anymore with the pandemic too as well. So I couldn't dive right into it as how I expected to be, which is fine because now, it's all about the right timing. So right after the pandemic lifted, that's where photography and everything all went into full time.
So then before the pandemic, you were just, was it still part time and you were working another full time job?
Yes, correct. So, yep, before the pandemic, it was just more like a side job when I like just more like a hobby, I would say, just doing whenever I can, taking on sessions whenever I'm free. From there, during that time, I also worked for my in laws and they ran a supported home care and a funeral home. So, my job was to be more focused with my husband and working with with my in laws too, as well, full time. So, it wasn't a priority of me setting my photography dream as a full time.
That's good because there's like no pressure to reach an income goal each month or reach how many like photos of, families or individuals you want to reach because you're doing it on the side. And I think
Yes,
it's
correct.
harder for example, for me, I'm single, I don't have kids, anything, so I can take on that leverage, but it's really about like prioritizing your priorities. Was there ever a time you just wanted to just you
Yes.
said you just wanted to jump full time, but you had to consider the risks, or how was that for you?
Yes, I believe the only risk that was the hardest for us was income too as well because we have four kids and diving into full time means spending more money on photography gears and gears for photography are not cheap either and along with do I choose this full time or do I choose my family for now until we're settled and we're a little bit more free where I can hop right into photography. So diving on full time, it was just very hard because we didn't have a babysitter too, just because my husband worked full time, and then and we didn't want to put the kids on daycare either, just because one of us are free too. So why not save the money?
So at the beginning of stages when you started the photography, were you doing some freelance work and then charging as well?
Yes. So in the beginning, it was more of connecting with other photographers or other people who were in the same industry. I feel like once you jump into thinking about being taking a photography job or as a photographer, it's always great to network and getting to know others who are also in the same field. Just because I feel like once you get to know them, they kind of help guide you too as well, and you kind of build that friendship and that networking. So it's hard, but taking a lot of free time collaboration with other artists, you do get more word out of the mouth of people recommending you as you go. So don't be afraid taking it free and learning from other photographers too as well who are also in the same field as you. It's just because you can build that friendship and then those free sessions of you having other models for you for free. You never know who they will recommend to come to you.
Going back about what you said about free work, there's this like stigma around, if you're just starting out that you should charge something because it is out of your time. Was it resenting to just do free work?
Yeah, so once you put your like your passion, you don't think about that income and you just do it as a free spirit. I feel like you create contact that you're more happy about versus someone who just goes and dive right into it and just looking for the income. I feel like they're not taking the time to grow and learn from it versus someone who has the passion for it and slowly take the time to just grow from it and learn it and then finally put it out there. So it's all about what you showcase.
You're still doing photography right now too, right? And it can show that you're not burnt out by it because you do enjoy what you still do. So, and a lot of entrepreneurs, they are getting burnt out by, their second or third year in business because now it's the pressure of, oh, I actually don't love this. I just need it for the money too sometimes. And when did you start like actually charging very premium prices for your photos?
I started that right about 2019 as I grew more followers and I had more contact to post up to, just more people reaching out. It was just taking more of my time where, like I said, I wanted, as I upgrade in gears, I also wanted to make it where I'm able to cover what I purchased to grow as a photographer. So I started in 2019. I started very low where it's just enough to cover my gears. And then as I built more contact and getting more bookings, that's where I increases my price.
You came on full time after the pandemic, and was that when you started your event decorating as well?
Yep. So event decoration, we done it since 2016, I believe. It started off as working in the funeral industry with my in-laws. So we've been doing that quite a while, but that was more of just working with my in-laws in the funeral industry. And then right when pandemic lifted, we wanted to branch out and offer our event decorations outside of the funeral industry. So that's when we start working with artists, building up setups or whatever they had envisioned. We would help from the beginning, from building that setup all the way to the end until it was complete. So yeah, 2021 was when we started all that, and then that's how it lead to the selfie studios, just because it contained the same kind of setup we do for a lot of artists too as well, and we wanted to bring those visions to life for others who are more of a smaller, has a more smaller contact, um, just so that they can also create something not as big, or if they don't have the budget they can still come and still get that done, not customized, but at least they have a backdrop for their video.
Tell me about how you first got your client, which is Mavu, who, if anyone doesn't know who Mavu is, she's a very, well-known singer in the Hmong community.
When we first started event decoration and we first released that along with photography, um, yeah, Mavu, when she did her first Tu Hmong when the pandemic lifted, she reached out for us to be as a photographer. And then she was also looking for someone to bring her vision to life. And we're like, great, she reached out, we can definitely make this happen. And that's when we decided that we could do photography and event decoration for her for all, and like within the same music video. So it's so much easier when you find someone who can also has the same vision as you and also capture the same vision as what you had in mind. So to us, that was what our goal was when we dive right into full time, was to find people who wanted to make it easier where they can bring their vision to life but also capture what that vision was.
I'm just really impressed. I love your story because the first time you said you wanted you aspired and you saw Mavu as an inspiration, and that's why you started photography. And look at you now with your first event decorating business. She was your first client. Like, how does it feel to have that come back in for full circle?
Feel like all a dream, honestly. Like I mean, remember the first time working with her and then her reaching out when we first launched our business. It's it's all that support all back to that networking, that support. When you support someone who's starting off, and then later when you start your own, they show you the same support you gave them, and you built that friendship as you go. And to me, that was, it was just amazing, because I always tell Ma, like, you were our first inspiration, and this is how we started. Because right when we launched, we didn't know where it would go, like how everything would go with this business. But her reaching out to us, it was amazing. I could just picture back to her reaching out and be like, "Yo, yes, we got our first client."
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, it's you were probably like fangirling
Yes,
over
it
her.
definitely was.
That's awesome. And are you working with more music artists? What's your plan for the event studio and everything?
Yeah, right after Ma, I mean, we worked with a few other artists too as well, like Michelle L and Vutu. So some of these smaller artists who are also starting off, we do want to branch out to artists who are just starting, or those who are out there already and who's looking for a customized backdrop. Or like I said, if you were within the lower budget, I mean, our selfie studios is there for people to just come in and record, create contact.
Is the selfie studio in the storefront of Love LLC too?
Yes, correct. So we wanted to make it a little different with the boutique, just so that we stand out too as well from other boutiques. So right when you walk in, you will see our boutique first, and usually our pieces for the boutique kind of gives you a hint of how the selfie studio looks like. So we have more baby doll dresses, more flowy stuff. I mean, you're gonna be walking into something girly, something fun. So we do kind of want to hint you, but we do have curtains to block off all the selfie studios. So you wouldn't be expecting to walk in right away to the selfie studio. You'll have to go through the curtains to see what's behind it.
Oh, okay. And then that brings up us to your online boutique and your storefront that you started during the pandemic as well. And like I said before, that you started this because of the mall in Wausau closing down too, and obviously, we can't go anywhere to shop. So tell me about how that went for you.
When the mall closed down, everybody was shopping up in the Red Mountain area, and which is great. We keeping a business who were affected by the pandemic, which was great. But then again, there were, like you go to events, everybody all walk in with the same outfit, and you're just kind of like, okay, I don't want to travel either. So I either had to bring in something more unique, and that's where the online boutique came in. We wanted to bring in pieces too as well, that are still affordable. Um, for people who just have events or just about anything to wear and didn't have to feel like they have to go out and shop, especially me, if you're like a mom or you're just have a very busy schedule, ordering online is just the best way to go. And then with the pandemic too, during that time, um, everything was just more like online orders, and it was a more of a positive on our end. And then when pandemic lifted, we opened the storefront, just because we had a high demand of people wanting to shop in person, to see how quality is before purchasing. So in store was more for people who were in town and who wanted to see quality too as well.
You opened that within a year, right, of the storefront and everything. And I think that for a lot of online boutique owners, that's aspiring. That's someone's dream to open up a storefront. How was it for you creating customers already, or was it based off of the network that you already had?
I believe it was more based off of the network we already have. Our goal when we first started everything from photography to event decoration, our goal was to be like more of a one-stop shopping experience where you get everything all done, and then you also get your shopping done at the same time, where we can bring you your clothes for your event. So our goal was pretty much just be a one-stop experience. And then within the networking too as well, it really helped us bring in new customer too as well, along with returning clients who just wanted to be there for us.
How is that going right now for your Are you more focused on, the online aspect or the physical aspect of the storefront?
For the boutique, I would say it's more on the online. In person. Right now with the selfie studios going on, we are doing or continuing for the month of June here, we are doing more of private bookings, just because we didn't want it to conflict with people who want to do that private booking, who wants to get that full experience from shopping and then dressing up. Like I said, our clothes represent our selfie studios. So we wanted to create a one-stop experience where people are able to grab whatever we have in boutique and we're in the selfie studios too as well. So our in-store is more focused for those who are willing to travel and see that what we have in store represent our selfie studios.
Yeah, which is so convenient. I mean, everyone loves convenience, right? So that's a really brilliant idea too. How did you feel about transitioning from photography and opening up, different avenues away from that? Was it a bit scary, intimidating?
I believe it was more, yeah, I would say it was more scary just because we didn't quite know who would be interested and willing to spend that much. But then again, it was more like a passion. And I feel like if you surround yourself with a lot of people who supports your ideas and your goals, it really takes off the pressure and the stress off of you. And that's what we went based off on, just because we started off from photography to event decoration to an online boutique. And we had a lot of supporters who just support us too as well from the very beginning. So that took a lot of the pressure off of us. So we just dive into it. And, like, there's always risk to everything. And it's all about taking the opportunity to learn from it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You learn from it and you just move on from it.
I love that you just said that because taking a risk is everything, especially people who are afraid of taking that risk because there's a lot of tension when starting a business because they think that everyone's going to judge you because you're failing. But that's not the case, right? Everyone's still going to support you no matter what.
Yes, correct. Like I said, there's risk for everything. It doesn't matter anything you do, even if you go work for someone, there's always risk too, right? So don't be afraid to take that risk. And I think the most, like, to us, the like risk just means opportunity. It's what you take from it, you grow from it, and you learn. And there's always critiques along the way. There's always the positive, the negative. And I always tell people critiques are great. You take the positive and you learn from, you take a positive, you make that better too as well. And the negative, whatever the negative is, you learn from that, you take to turn that upside down back to positive and learn from the opportunity of the critiques that are given to you.
You can improve your customer experience by that as well, by like not taking something so personally, but just take it in stride. What has been the biggest challenge for you when you opened up LUV LLC and put all the event decorating, your storefront, and photography under one umbrella?
I think the biggest challenge to me was actually balancing being a mom and a full-time job, because I have two kids who are in school and two kids who are not in school. And my husband also works full-time. So for us, the biggest challenge was how do we make ourselves more professional in a way where our kids are also still getting the attention they need, along with us being professional in the field that we are at right now, where our kids are not in the background crying while we are creating this opportunity for ourselves too as well. That was one of the biggest challenge. And then also as well as getting the income to do all of the services we are providing.
Let's go back to what you said about with your kids and spreading the time and stuff. If you don't mind, how did you guys go about it? Are you, for example, are you only working like 9 to 5 on your business and then half of the day is for your kids?
So for that, my husband and me, we take turns. My husband is the background man where he built everything from scratch, and then I'm the person in the front who brings everything to life. So usually most of the time when everything's all done building, then he takes care of the kids at home and I go do what I have to do. And It's not a nine. People's always like it's 9 to 5. You're so tired working 9 to 5, but when you like become an owner, your own job. It's never a 9 to 5. It's when the job is done, that's when you get to come home. And there are some nights where our kids will have to go stay at the boutique store with us, and we're just like, okay, here's the air mattress. You guys get to play on the iPad. You guys play until mom and dad are both done with work. Otherwise, there's days where they're super tired, and one of us gonna have to go, and one of us will have to stay behind until work is done. And it's okay too, because like I tell everyone, you work hard now and you can rest later.
Having an understanding partner as well makes it so much easier. I love that your husband stands with you and understands working hard now for your future. He's not starting arguments like, why aren't you home? Or, this is straining our relationship. So that's really good that you both have, your roles, so you can
Yes.
take action in the most convenient and quickest way possible as well. For someone who is, for example, passionate about photography, art, content creation, where should they start?
Start with what you're most passionate about and then grow from it. Do what is best for you. Whether if all of them are your passion, I still recommend you to start with one and learn the most out of it and then move on to the next. And if you're like me, if you love to do like different kind of things, start with what you're the most passionate about. And to me, photography was the most that was like from the beginning. And if I ever get stressed, I just go back to why I started this. So whatever you're most passionate about, just go ahead and take the risk for it.
There's a lot of people who have shiny shoe syndrome. Once they start, it's
Mhm.
hard. Entrepreneurship is challenging, and then they see something else and they're going after it. But I always say it's better to just be, instead of being a jack of all trades, it's better to be a specialist and mastering one thing at a time, because someone wants to come to you as a specialist and you're going to expand your network from there.
Yes, correct. So always start with what you're most passionate about. Just because even if you do start another business or another services adding on to it, you're gonna be so stressed. And if you're not passionate about the first thing that you first dive into it, you're not passionate about photography and you just went into it and then you add another service, you're gonna be very drained out and you're not gonna be happy about it. And I feel like that's where people start quitting. So I do recommend that you start with something you're passionate about and surround yourself with families or friends or a good supporting community who supports and stands behind you too as well. So when you're going through a tough time, they're there to support you and cheer you on too as well.
Should someone expect to get income right away from, a side hustle or a full-time hustle? If, for example, they don't want to charge for free, should they expect income?
When you first start it, if it's just your first time starting it, I always say don't expect to get income right away. Just because if you didn't create a contact and you're jumping right into it, people will kind of question how your works are, and getting bookings are going to be the hardest to get, especially if you don't have a portfolio to showcase. And even if you dive right into any full time business too as well, your first year is all about, creating contact and building how you can better your services or your business. So don't expect to get income right away, more of building contact and networking and building your community first.
Some people start creating because they're passionate, but start resenting it later because now there's a pressure to create when you bring money involved. I'd love to hear what your take on this is and how someone can continue to maintain the longevity of a business for years to come.
Creating, there's always a pressure. Even I still feel pressure to create, but if you have a supporting partner and you support and you surround yourself with a very supportive community, that creating content actually turns into more of a passion, and your ideas comes in more. Just let it flow. Let the idea flow. Don't feel the pressure at all. Just whatever comes to mind, just go with whatever comes to your mind. And like I said, your surrounding is who like represent you and make how it makes you feel. So for me, my husband is my backbone, and if I'm feeling the pressure to create, he's there. And if I needed someone to create a contact, I can turn back to my community where I can ask them to create a contact. So your pressure, if you're feeling pressured, turn to someone who you can trust and someone who can be there for you. You will always feel the pressure to create, especially if there's always new contact going on, and you're always trying to stay up to date. Just have a good supporting community with you too as well.
I love that advice. What has been your favorite project so far that you've worked on?
Marvel is definitely our favorite one, but more of going on the spot to events where we're able to decorate and then hop right into taking photos for the event, and then bring our online boutique to as well, clothing to our customers on the spot, and having them wear our pieces while we're photographing and seeing our decoration as a backdrop for them. So those are more our favorite, when everyone utilizes all three of our services all into one event.
That's like seeing everything come true too. Like what's on paper is coming true to you too. And going back to full circle again, as a kid, you you were always into the arts, and now you're actually working in the arts and doing what you love. So that's really inspiring, and it really shows that you can, build a business out of passion for it, out of what you love. Do you have any advice for up and coming businesses or business owners?
Don't be afraid to take the risk. Dive right into the risk. You learn from it, take the challenge, and you grow from it.
I did want to ask, working a job, there was stable income, right? So obviously you talked about it with your partner that there's going to be ups and downs for income now that you're a business. And when someone was in your situation, is in your situation of them having such a stable income and jumping right into the unknown, what advice do you have for someone in that position right now?
For someone who just dives right into it full time, be ready for debt. Be willing to take out loans. Be willing to work, put it in the extra hours, willing to travel, willing to learn. Just don't expect it for income to come with no work put into it. So putting that 12-hour shift or that 24-hour shift, whatever you have to do, put in those hours and make it happen, and people will see that you put into the work, versus someone who doesn't put in the work and they're just expecting income to come. Especially if you have a partner who also has a job too as well, that helps a lot. I would say if my husband and I were both to dive into this and just him not still working his other full-time job, then there would be a lot of stress. But for us, we weren't afraid to take out loans or be afraid to give up some of the stuff that we need, or want, I would say. So willing to give up something for what you.
You heard it from Pana herself. So, and thank you, Pana. Where can everyone find you?
Right now, we have LUV LLC on Facebook. And then if you're looking to shop, it's called Shop LUV LLC. So we do have two Facebook page. We do have an Instagram page. However, we don't go and post contact in there as much anymore, just because we're more focuses on the Facebook and in-person bookings.
And everything will be linked in the show notes about where to find her. And yes, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
You can connect with the Asian CEO on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and everything will be linked in the show notes. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.